All right, everybody, I'm John Savarino, and this is Talking Money. In today's video, we are going to be discussing Silicon Valley Bank's quote-unquote collapse. Now, before we talk about that collapse, I just want to make a big, very clear disclosure that we are discussing this from a 40,000-foot view, extremely high level. There's going to be some reasons, there's going to be some things missing from this video that ultimately led to their collapse, but I wanted to, once again, give it to our viewers from a very high level so they can understand some of the intricacies that happened behind the scenes leading to their collapse. Now, who is Silicon Valley Bank? Well, it's a lower to mid-sized bank on the West Coast that primarily works with startup and technology clientele or technology companies as their clientele. Now, banks, traditionally speaking, will take some of their clients' deposits and invest those deposits primarily in risk-free assets such as Treasuries, okay? Now, how a Treasury works is it's backed by the U.S. federal government that they say if you purchase this Treasury at par value, right, which is whatever you purchased it for, and you hold it for a certain amount of time, whether that be a few months, a year, 10 years, or even longer. As long as you hold that Treasury for that period of time, you will always get your principal amount back, such as par value, plus any interest that they promised you on top of that Treasury. What happens in between is as interest rates go up, the prices of these Treasuries fall. Okay, and when interest rates go down, the prices of Treasuries go up. Once again, though, that does not affect you as long as you hold it to maturity. You will always get par value back, or what you purchased it for back, at the end of your maturity period. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you wanted to liquidate that Treasury, though, before maturity, you are subject to what's called interest rate risk. So in this example, as interest rates have risen over the last year, prices have dropped. So if you wanted to liquidate your Treasury that you might have purchased a few years ago, you would more than likely take a loss, actually a pretty substantial loss on that Treasury unless you hold it to maturity. So back to our Silicon Valley Bank. So what they had is really concentrated levels, like 85% of their total deposits was from like 15 to 20 different companies. And don't quote me on that, but ultimately that's what their deposit amount looked like, was from these 15 to 20 different companies. And they took a lot of the excess deposits and they invested them in different Treasuries. And from what I've gathered is more longer term Treasuries, such as 10 years, which at that point you need to hold it for 10 years to get par plus interest back. Here's what happened is these 15 to 20 companies, or at least a large number of them, were in, for lack of better terms, cahoots together of a possible bank run, which a bank run is just a large number of depositors rushing to the bank asking to withdraw their money. This is exactly what happened. You know, a lot of these companies went to SVB, asked for their money. SVB didn't have enough liquidity or enough cash on hand to satisfy those withdrawals. Thus, they had to liquidate their Treasuries at a substantial loss, leading to their collapse. So, as I said previously, a lot of other things, happen behind the scenes that, we don't necessarily know about or can see, but from a very high level, that's what happened to SVB. And I will say, a lot of the bigger institutions, a lot of the bigger banks have a lot more liquidity on hand, a lot more experience, and from what I've gathered, what many other analysts have gathered, have done a better job of laddering out their Treasuries to where they don't have to liquidate such long-term assets at such a massive loss to be able to satisfy clients' withdrawals and avoid any quote-unquote bank run from happening. So hopefully this at least gave you a little bit more insight on what happened over the last few weeks with SVB and a couple other smaller banks. Hit that like button if you liked the video. If you can't hit the like button, please leave me a comment via below. What are your thoughts on what's going to happen over the next 6 months, 12 months? We would love to hear that via comment. Subscribe, hit the notification button, and as always, we'll talk money soon.